There is a country once dubbed the Golden Sparrow by ancient civilizations and empires enchanted by its riches, but under British rule, things got really tough. In just 150 years, the colonizers took away a massive $45 trillion from this country, plunging this nation into poverty. You must have already figured out that we're talking about India. Nestled at the fulcrum of Asia, India, the world's most populous country, is currently the 5th largest economy with a GDP of $3.7 trillion. But soon it's expected to become the 3rd largest economy, surpassing both Germany and Japan by 2027. In just 15 years, India achieved something incredible, lifting over 415 million people out of poverty, equivalent to the entire populations of Brazil, Japan, and Germany combined. And guess what? They're not just acing social issues, but also reaching for the stars, literally. With missions exploring the moon, Mars, and the sun, they're turning heads globally. Economically, India's on fire. In the last 30 years, their GDP surged 9-fold, leaving major players envious. And by 2027, their working-age population is set to outshine the combined workforce of the US and Europe. So is India preparing to challenge China and the USA as the next economic superpower, particularly in the manufacturing sector? What are the good things it can use to grow its economy, and what challenges might get in the way? China is going to be the first country in history to be old before it's rich. Due to its one-child policy, its population will decrease to 1.32 billion, so more people will be dependent on the working-age population by 2050, with a dependency ratio shifting from 35% to 70%. While many countries grapple with aging populations and skills mismatch, India stands out with its youthful and highly productive workforce, with population expected to rise to approximately 1.67 billion by 2050. This demographic advantage has empowered India to turn global challenges into opportunities. In the past 5 years, India has grabbed headlines by securing manufacturing jobs that used to belong to China. Notably, big players like Tesla and Apple are in the spotlight. Apple, for instance, plans to move a quarter of its iPhone and iPad production from China to India by 2025. A significant move considering China currently manufactures 90% of Apple's products. So here's a burning question: is India prepared to fill China's shoes in the manufacturing arena? If we look into history, we find that both China and India were economic powerhouses for a remarkable 2,000 years. Together, they contributed nearly 70% to the global economy. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and the scales tipped in favor of Western countries. But now, both nations are making a comeback, making up 30 to 40% of the world's economy, and even more in the future. This resurgence makes us think about how historical events shaped their paths. India fought against resource exploitation during British rule, and China faced a tough 100 years of humiliation. These struggles played a role in shaping their development. After gaining independence, China and India aimed for self-sufficiency, but witnessing the success of Asian counterparts like Singapore, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan prompted a shift. China, leveraging its vast population, emerged as the factory of the world. Meanwhile, India became a powerhouse in services, especially in the IT and business industry. China's early success in manufacturing was due to the priority placed on tangible goods. The production industry predated the internet industry, contributing to China's faster evolution compared to India. The Chinese population's collective and pragmatic mindset, coupled with an emphasis on expertise and problem-solving, played a crucial role. India, on the other hand, relied on intellectual prowess, English proficiency, and a globalized market. This led to the establishment of call centers and IT programs, contributing significantly to the digital transformation. However, the shift towards digital transformation occurred later than China's manufacturing boom. The cultural differences between the two nations also played a role. China's elite-focused, practical approach versus India's more diverse and intellectual mindset influenced their trajectories. China's obsessive focus on mastering one thing and a collective mindset contrasted with India's more varied and decentralized approach. India's IT revenue started booming post-2000, especially after 2005, making it a global IT hub. Factors like the growing importance of digital tech, The outsourcing of call centers and the rising demand for IT services fueled this growth. On the flip side, China's dominance in manufacturing got a boost from its exceptional infrastructure, high-speed trains, efficient deliveries, extensive road networks, airports, and harbors. This infrastructure advantage poses a challenge for India to replace China as the world's factory. Moreover, the urbanization pattern in China, with a large number of cities experiencing rapid modernization, differs from India's slower urban evolution. China's numerous second, third, or fourth-tier cities, each with over 1 million people, have undergone significant transformations, surpassing the pace of urban development in India. If we rewind the clock 40 years, when India and China were on almost equal footing in terms of GDP back in the 1980s, surprisingly, India even had a higher GDP per capita. But then something happened. China went full speed ahead on the economic highway, and India somehow missed the exit. In just 40 years, China snatched the title of the world's largest economy from the United States, with a GDP per capita shot up 33 times, while India's grew about 5.3 times. Fast forward to today, and India seems to be catching up, growing at 8%, while China is looking at a modest 3 to 4%. The next decade might see India growing twice as fast as China. Purchasing power parity projections show India surpassing the United States in 2030. The game changer is a burgeoning middle class. China's strategy involves moving its poor into the middle class, part of Xi Jinping's common prosperity dream. But India's got its own challenge, bringing a massive number of extreme poor and poor people into the middle class. India has over 1 billion people in lower income categories, double China's number. Yet somehow India might just beat China in the middle class growth game by 2035. Together, these giants are set to make up 50% of the world's middle class, and India's growth is predicted to be faster. India's got this golden opportunity to step into China's shoes as the world's go-to factory. China's busy chasing self-sufficiency dreams, but guess what? They've got some hiccups in their global supply chain because of geopolitical tensions, sanctions, and restrictions. So India is like the cool kid on the block with a young and vibrant workforce, especially for companies thinking of ditching China. But India needs to deal with a few systemic challenges first. The systemic challenges India faces include bureaucracy, corruption, protectionist attitudes, and a complex election system. The country also faces issues like high income inequality and cultural complexities, such as the caste system, making inclusive economic growth a tough nut to crack. To navigate these challenges and truly become a force in the global economic landscape, India needs to zero in on key sectors. Agriculture, technology, healthcare, education, infrastructure, automotive, and everyday consumer goods are the linchpins. These are the game changers that could give India the economic boost it's aiming for, helping it keep pace with the big players, especially its neighbor China. Geopolitically, India's neutrality and ability to engage with its neighbors, especially with China and Pakistan amid their tensions, position it as a potential savior of the global economy. The bulls say India is the next China, with the potential to grow at 10% a year for a long period. Odds are they are right. If not today, then within a decade or so.